Today we'll be discussing about anonymous block. It's a PLC part. Okay, so we'll be going in a parallel fashion. Okay, as of now we have discussed a few basic concepts in the SQL. Now we'll be concentrating on the PLC part, and once we cover some more basics, again we'll shift to SQL part. We'll going in a parallel fashion. Okay? So the basic block in your PLC, we call it as a PLC anonymous block. We'll need to see how we'll see how the structure of a block is. Like when we write any program, we need to understand what is the starting point, what is ending point, and how to declare variables, how to write a business logic, and how to handle exception. So if you consider different programming languages, I mean that will be there in any of the programming languages. Every programming language will have the starting point, ending point. Let me show a few examples of different programming languages, so we may get some more idea on this. So if you guys consider this normal C program, if you want to print hello world on your output, so we need to write some printf statement like this, right? So the starting point of your program in the C language is the main function here, right? And if you consider the Java program, we have the starting point. The starting of execution starts from again the main function, and above that you have some more one more block that is called the class. This is Java stuff. If you consider the PLC block, if I want to achieve the same functionality, nothing but printing an output on the console, I can have a begin statement and end statement, and in that I have package, which is I have a processor which is taking some input and displaying on the output. So every different languages will have their own way of representing the program, right? We'll have a starting point, ending point, and in the PLC also we have the starting point as a begin and end point as end. So this is how your PLC block looks like. So there are a few more structures or blocks which are present in the PLC. Let me give you more detailed information now on that. So this is how your PLC block structure looks like. Nothing but it will have a four blocks. One is declare section, or I can say it as a block or a section, both the same. So one is declare section, the section where we declare all your variables. So when you write any of your PLC procedure, so we'll need to write some business logic, or we need to assign some variables, manipulate the data, those kind of things, right? So we always declare our variables, cursors, user-defined types, user-defined exceptions, everything we'll declare in the declare section. Coming to the begin section, here we declare the exact business logic, nothing but inserting data, fetching out the data, writing your for loops or if loops, calling another function, calling another process. Every business logic statement you will be writing in the begin block. So coming to the exception section, here we'll be writing exception handling scenarios, because we never want our program to terminate abnormally, right? So we need to catch the exception and need to give the user a good message saying that no, like this so and so error, that is why I got an exception. So for that purpose, we need to have an exception block. So end is nothing but your end of your PLC block. Okay. So if you consider this one, there are few things which are optional and few things which are mandatory. The begin and end are mandatory, and apart from others like a declare and exception, there are optional stuff. If you consider a simple example, hello world program, let me show you that first. If I want to print some hello world statement on my output, I can just write simple begin. So for printing any output on your console, you need to use this particular procedure. So for one more thing is, enable your dbms underscore output. If this particular window is not enabled, you can enable that using view and the dbms underscore output here. Once this is there, click on plus symbol and click a connection for that. As of now, I'm going with an HR connection. Do the same. Now execute this statement here. So now it's printing hello world. Okay. So this is how we execute it. Just select the statement and click on this one. Click on the symbol, run statement. So your program will get executed, and it's here. If you see here, it is saying that anonymous block completed. So in the PLSQL part, we have a stored program concept and anonymous block stuff. This is the anonymous block is nothing but a fire and forget kind of thing. This block is not stored in the database. That's why it is called anonymous block. If your program is storing the database, that we call as a stored program. So the functions, the procedures, the package, they come under stored programming concept because they are stored as an object in your database, like a table. You know, your table is stored in the database, right? Like a synonym or a views, indexes, everything stored in the database. They are all stored programs, nothing but a stored object, I can say. So even your procedures, functions, and packages, they come under stored programs. Okay. Let's see more detail. So a block types, you can have a nested blocks. The same way, you know, like we have a nested functions, we can have a nested blocks. Nothing but writing a one block in another block. Subprograms or stored programs, both are same. So variables, like coming to the variable section, in the declare section, we'll be declaring variables, right? So variables can be of any data type. It can be a simple data type or it can be a composite data type. When you say simple data type or a scalar data type, normal variable declaration, nothing but, you know, like integer or a float number or a character or a date or a boolean, they are simple data types because they can, yeah, because why they are called simple data types, because they can handle only one value at a time. They cannot handle multiple values. Nothing but, you know, if you consider employee number, okay, I'll show you that simple example first. See here, this employee ID is declared as a number. So this employee ID particular column can handle only one particular value at a time, right? So that's why they're called simple data types. If we are having some other way, you know, if you're having some other, we have another type data types called composite data types, which can handle, 1 minute, composite data which can handle multiple values at a time, nothing but an array concept, which can handle a number of employees at the same time. That is called composite data type. Okay, that things we'll deal later. As of now, we'll consider simple scalar data types. So, okay, let me show you some data types which are there. Then we'll see again that previous slide. So these are the simple data types. Nothing but, you know, we'll be concentrating on the number and boolean, date. Other stuff is character and varchar. So when you say character and varchar, we need to specify the length of your character. So when we use varchar or character is like nothing but whenever we have a data which is in a string format, nothing but name of a person, name of, I mean, address details. Those things will be using varchar stuff. So number is nothing but your, if you have information in the number format, it can be a normal number or it can be a float variable. It can have the precision also. Okay. So Boolean will be using whether it's a flag purpose, whether, you know, like eligibility kind of stuff, like true or false, those kind of things. Date, of course, you are aware what date. Okay. So let us see how to declare a variable. So how to declare a variable is nothing but this is syntax. Identifier is nothing but a user-defined variable name. Whenever you're defining a variable, you should have your user identifier for that. Identifier is nothing but your variable name, user-defined variable name, followed by a constant keyword. If you want to make that particular identifier as a constant, we can have that one. Anyways, it's an optional stuff, followed by data type. So identifier, nothing but a variable name, followed by data type, followed by, if you want to make that particular variable as an ordinal, we can mention that. After that, we have other optional stuff we keep as of now. Let us declare a simple variable and then, you know, like execute our program. So variables should be declared in your which part? Declare section, right? So let's declare that. Let me take one more connection. So what I will do is in the declare section, I will write one simple variable declaration here, and I'll assign value in the begin section. So how to assign the value? We should give colon equal to this assignment operator. Okay. So how to print the information now? Just you can use this one. dbms underscore output dot put underscore line variable value is equal to. So this is the piping symbol is a concatenation operation, and after that just give your name, variable name. That's it. So let's execute the program now. Variable is equal to 20. Okay, if you want to make the variable, like a declaration and assignment at the same time, we can do that. Character. What I will do is, see what is the syntax here? Data type followed by colon is equal to default expression. Okay, data type. Okay, sample character. So now here I'm declaring the variable and same time I'm assigning a value also. Okay, so let's display this one. Let's execute this one again. Okay, now we got the data, right? So this way we can declare variables and we can assign, like this is for the normal declaration and this is the declaration and assignment also. Clear? And we have other properties also like constant and not null, those kind of things. When you say constant, so once you assign the value, you cannot change it. Like during declaration itself, we'll mention the value of that, and we cannot change it. We cannot change the value of that particular variable in your program. That's a constant data type. Yeah. Coming to the percentile type attribute, this is only for getting the column, a particular column data type. Nothing but you have an employee number in the EMP table, and if you want to get the data type of that particular column, so you can make use of this percentile type attribute. Let me show a direct example for that. V underscore EMP number. I want to get the data type of employee number column. So what I can do is employee ID percentile type. So nothing but it's similar to this one actually. It's similar to this simple because the EMP number data type. What is the EMP number data type? If you see here, this is number of 6, right? So this is equivalent to this stuff. So why we mentioned 6 in the number? Because the employee number should be of only 6 digits. It should not be greater than 6 digits. If you assign more than 6 digits, it will give an error. Let's see what that. What I will do is I will assign more than 6 digits and we'll see whether I will get an error or not. Okay. Yeah. So it says that numeric value error, number precision too large. Okay, this way we can make use of the existing, like existing column data type. Now if I assign a simple 6 digits, it works fine. Okay, one more thing. If you observe the error here, every error will have a number or followed by the number of that. So it's specifically, Oracle predefined exception will have a number and a description for that. So we'll deal more detail in the exception session regarding like how to declare an exception, how to catch the exception, those kind of things. We'll deal in the detail in the later sessions. So let me run the program now. I change the value to this, say only 6 digits. Let me run the program now. Now it's completed successfully. Okay. So using percentage data type, you will just get the data type of your base table column data type. And one more thing, they are not case sensitive. What are the things which you declare in this PL SQL program? They are not case sensitive, and even variable name also not case sensitive. Only the data is case sensitive. This particular data is case sensitive. This sample anonymous block, you guys can practice on this one. Yeah. Composite data types, yep. These are the composite data types: table data type, record data type, nested table, and variable array. So with the, so when you say table data type, a table data type is nothing but array kind of stuff. It's an array which can handle multiple values at the same time. If you consider an array of employee number, I can handle n number of employee numbers at the same time. That's called table data type. So when you say record data type, okay, let me show you what exactly record is. Maybe if you guys are not aware, I will show them. So this particular total, this for first, this particular selected one, this is called a record. So we can declare a data type which is similar to that one. I can declare a variable which is of data type row type, which can handle all the columns of your employees table at the same time. That is called record data type. Nothing but what I can do is I can just mention like this v underscore row type employees percentile row type. So we can declare a variable. This row type can handle all the columns at the same time. Nothing but v underscore row type dot emp number, v underscore row type dot first name. Like that, I can assign and I can retrieve all the values. So coming to the bind and substitution variables, these things you need to practice in the SQL place, not in the SQL developer. You should practice in the SQL place. Okay. So use substitution variable same as in SQL with an ampersand operator. Like whenever you want to assign a variable, assign a value for a variable, you need to use ampersand before that. So let me show you that example now. So declare a variable like this, variable salary number, and after that we have a declare section. Of course, it doesn't need it because already variable is declared. Coming to the begin, so I'm assigning a value to this one, and I mentioned colon salary because the variable is declared outside of your begin section. Nothing but it's not there in this block. So we have another concept in the SQL Start Plus. That's when you say variable that particular variable you can access across the blocks. So what I will do is 12 into 100. Okay, then I just say print sal. So we got 1200, right? So this way we can assign the values and we can execute the blocks. This is similar to your normal SQL developer stuff, but these things won't work into SQL developer. This should be practiced only in the SQL Start Plus. Yeah, so coming to the procedure, as of now, we are using dbms underscore output underscore line. So dbms underscore output is an Oracle predefined package. It is having a set of a number of predefined functions which is used for general purpose. And put underscore line is one of the procedure which will take some string as an input, and it will print that particular statement in the output. So that's the purpose we use it. So for if there's an option called set server output on. If it doesn't enable this one, it won't display the data here. Let me show you that. So it's not displaying the data at all, right? So we need to enable this one, set server output on. Then let me execute this statement now. So now we got the output. So once you enable set server output on, now it will display the data. Okay. Statements can continue over several lines. Classification of lexical units. Keywords cannot be split over lines. These are normal general guidelines for your PL/SQL block. So whenever you're writing PL/SQL block, make sure that you never split the keywords, and make sure that you never split the the programs. And we need to if you what happens is if you split the data, there are chances that you may get some exceptions. So make sure that you try to write the data in a single line. So we'll see what delimiter says. So identifier is nothing but your variable names. So we can have a variable name, we have a syntax for this, it should be of only 30 characters, and some other properties it should not have any special characters. Those are normal guidelines for variable declaration. So one thing is, whenever you're declaring a variable, we always start with v underscore stuff. It is not mandatory, but it's a general guidelines. It just says that it's a variable, and there are chances that even in few of the implementation projects we do in this fashion. V underscore, if you consider I want to declare a data type of employee number, and data type is number, right? So again I will write like this. If it is this emp name, I will write like this. Character. If it is a date, I will write like this, v underscore date t. So it depends on the practice of your It depends on general practice, or the guidelines of your implementation client or something. Okay, there's no mandatory stuff, it's only a guidelines kind of thing. So these things we already dealt, single row functions and these kind of things, right? And we can make use of these kind of things like a to_char, date, everything we can use it. And if you want to call a function, we can just directly call like this. So here, if you want to display the current date, I can just write a function v_date date. v_date is equal to sysdate. So sysdate is a function which returns the current date of your system. So we got some error. Let's see what is that. So whenever you get an error, make sure that you enable line number also. Right click on here, toggle line numbers. It will display the line number of your PLC this block here in the SQL developer. So it says that error starting at line number 2 in the command. I don't think there's error here, but let's see. v_date must be declared. Okay. So I declared it as v_date_d, but here I defined as v_date. I'm writing in capital letter. Let's see what will happen now. Okay, where is that v_date? Okay, here. Yeah, see here. I declared as a here all are small case here and your uppercase. So variable names are not case sensitive, but data is case sensitive. But never do that thing. Always follow the same case. Declare all your variables in a small case and use the same thing, because it will confuse a lot. In general, if you write an PL SQL procedure, in general implementation project, you will be writing a package length of number of lines of code is minimum of 200 to 500 or 1000 lines. It depends. So whenever you write it, and have a proper comment section and everything. We'll show that. We'll see those things in detail later sessions. So nested blocks. I mean, if you have a block in a block, or for loops, loop in a loop, or nested functions. So always, the child can inherit the parent information, but the parent cannot get the child information. So that's what it says. Variable scope. So what do you mean by variable scope is nothing but if you declare a variable in the child section, that you cannot access in the parent section, isn't it? Because the parent property can be inherited by the child, but the child property cannot be inherited by the parent. Okay. So this is an example for that. Let me execute this one and I will show. So what I've done here is this is how we declare. We can name our blocks here. Of course, this is an anonymous block still, but we can name the blocks here. And inside this one, I have a block here. This nested block here. This is, I can say, a child block start, and child block ends, and this is a parent block end. This is a single line comment. Parent block start. Okay, let's see how it goes. So what we have done here, we have named this outer block here, and I have declared one variable here name as aqua region. And inside this declared section of my child block, I have declared the same variable name, and it's of data type same varchar and everything same, but the data is different art. So while displaying data inside this block, in the child block, I mentioned a name and displaying name, and another is outer dot name. This outer is nothing but your block name of your parent stuff. Okay. So outside my child block, again I'm displaying the data here. I just mentioned name and outer dot name. So if you say name here, this name is referred to the name which is declared here. Hey, 1 minute, just give a minute. Sorry. So let's see that. So what I'm trying to say is, the variable which you declared here cannot be accessed by here. Nothing but if you print any data here, this will refer to the this will refer to this value here, not this value, because a parent can access its own information, but it cannot access the child information. But a child can access its own information and a parent information also. That's what it's saying. Okay, so let me execute this statement now. So it's here. So first thing what I've done, inner block, inner name. So we got art because this name is referring to this one. I have another thing, inner block, outer name, inner block, outer name, that is outer dot name. This value is referring to this one here, aqua regia. So after that, again in the parent block here, outer block, inner name, I have name here. Again, this referring to the parent block name, and again it's referring to the parent block name, right? Nothing but parent data. So this is what I'm trying to say. So a child can inherit it, but a parent cannot inherit it. But we generally never use. I mean, it depends on the usage of implementation stuff, whether we go with the nested blocks or not. Rather than going for the nested blocks, what we do is like we'll define independent procedures, and we can call that procedure in my procedure, something like that. But for information purpose, this like I just will understand, like the scope is only limited to the child. We cannot what you say, extend the child declared variables. So this is all about your anonymous block stuff. So if you have any questions, you can ask me now, because we'll be starting with the procedures and functions, and after that we'll be starting with the packages also. So any questions?
Sridhar, can you explain that one part again, that child block and the parental block, like how
Yeah,
we
yeah,
cannot use the
yeah,
child block one?
yeah, sure. See, what I'm trying to say here is, let's consider that there's a block called parent block. Okay, so you have your own business logic, variables, and everything here. Parent variables. And now let's consider that you have a child block here and all child variables here. And coming to the end of child, and or some more statements, and end of parent. Okay. So if you consider here, you declared a parent variable and the same name here. We are having some name which is same. And coming to the child block here in the child block section, I can access all my parent variables. Nothing but the variables which are declared in the parent block section. I can access all the variables. Okay. And once you come out of the child block, you cannot access any variables which are declared in the child section. In the child block, if you declare some variables, you cannot access them outside of your child block. The scope of the variables which you declared in the child section is nothing but this one, only this limited stuff. So the variables which you declared in the child block, they'll be accessible only within the child block scope. So here, if you see our example here, so when I say a name here, when I say a name, normal name, it is referring to the variable which is declared in the child section. When I say outer dot name, it is referring to the block which is declared outside of your child block, nothing but its parent block. But if I say name here, it is referring to the name which is declared here, because now this name is not this name, because even the variable names are same. The scope of this inside name is limited to this particular block. It cannot be accessed outside of this one, isn't it? Are you getting?
Okay, but why do we need to name that block before we start?
No. Why we are showing that thing? It's not necessary that it is not necessary to mention the name of the block, but why we have shown you this? Why we have named the block is just to show the demonstration of how the block scope is.
So
We
how
can,
does it works in real, in real time scenarios? If we
yeah,
use
in real world actually we never use nested blocks. In general, we never use it. But if we use it also, we never try to access variables like this. We never do those kind of
okay,
things.
we don't name them with the same name.
We never use these kind of things actually. It's only demonstration purpose. I'm sharing this concept.
Okay. No, that's the reason I was just thinking why we need to put that block name as.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so now the next session will be on the control structures, nothing but your if conditions and for loop stuff. write a DML statements, control transactions, identify the control structures. Okay. So what are the SQL statement we use in PL SQL? Nothing but we'll be writing insert statements or a delete statements, or we'll be writing some select statements for fetching the data, right? So these are the normal SQL statements we use generally in the PL SQL. So if you want to fetch a particular SQL statement value into a PL SQL block value, how to do that is, like, let me show you that. So what I will do is, where is that? Okay. So we'll take one number, like okay, name data type. Okay. Here I will assign. What I will do is I want to fetch the employee name. Okay, using the employee ID, I want to fetch it. So before that, let us identify one specific employee. So 198, I will take it. It's 198. So I want to fetch the first name of an employee. Select first name into which one v underscore char, where and now this first name will hold the first name of your variable. Okay, so what I've done is I declared two variables. One is number and character, and in the number I'm assigning an employee number, and I've written a select query for this. Select first underscore name into v underscore char. So what this statement will do is, this particular statement will fetch the first name of an employee into v underscore character. Okay, and v underscore character will be displaying here. Employee's first name is equal to this one. So let us execute this one. So employee's first name is Donald. Right. This way we can write a select statement with an into clause. Select list followed by into list. Like if you're fetching more than one column, you'll be mentioning the list, right? List of columns. And after that, in the into section also, you need to mention all the how many columns you're fetching it. These are all user-defined variable names. And after that, from which table you want it, and where condition. And when you write an into clause with select statement, always you should return only one row. If it returns more than one row, you'll get an exception. Let's consider this, that exception here. I'll show you that. As of now, let's consider that I have removed my where condition. So according to this statement, it should return n number of employees, right? N number of employees' first names. So if I execute this one, it will say that exact fetch returns more than requested number of rows. Okay, so whenever you have a select with an into clause, always it should return only one row. If it returns more than one row, it will give an exception. Clear?
Can you repeat that last part? More than one row, I didn't get that part.
Okay, see what I've done is, like, I removed my, okay, sorry. Okay, so in general, if you execute the statement like this one, what should happen? It should fetch all the first names of the employee, right? I'll comment this one now. So here, if I execute this statement here, how many rows it is fetching? It is fetching n number of rows. It can be around 111, right?
Yes.
So this particular v underscore character cannot handle that many rows. It can handle only one column, right? It can handle only one first name.
Okay.
Because it is a simple data type which can handle only one column. It cannot nothing but only one first name. It cannot handle more than that. So, but here this particular query is fetching more than one row. Let us see what is the rate is showing. So it says that exact fetch returns more than requested number of rows. The number of rows specified in exact fetch is less than rows written. Rewrite the query or change the number of rows requested. Okay, so that's what it is saying. So instead of this one, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's why we need to have, if you have a specific where condition, where employee ID is equal to v underscore number. Now this particular query will return only one row because I mentioned my employee ID here, so it will fetch only one row here, isn't it?
So in order to fetch all of them, we need to have a cursor.
Yeah, that's right. This we can call it as an implicit cursor, and the cursor which we define using your cursor keyword, that is an explicit cursor. This we call it as implicit cursor. So implicit cursor can fetch only one row. So we write this implicit cursor whenever you are expecting that it always returns one row, surely. Then we use implicit cursor.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Even that, one more thing. Let's consider that I will define some junk variable number here. So this particular program will fail again because there is no employee with this particular employee number. So again, implicit cursor will fail here. No data found exception, right? We got no data found exception because this cursor is not fetching any data. So when you write an implicit cursor, always make sure that it will return one row compulsory. If it doesn't return one row, we should have an exception handling scenario. Okay. So anyways, we have a session for the cursor specifically. We'll deal all those things. Yeah. So there is one more example here where what we are fetching is we are fetching the department number here using the department name. Okay. So we can write all your DML statement in your PL SQL block. We can write an insert, update, delete, and a merge also. So what is a cursor? A cursor is a private SQL area. So why we use cursor actually? The cursor is nothing but for fetching the data from a table. Because like if you want to fetch the data, we need to write a SQL query. The SQL query is the only way option for retrieving data from your tables. Okay. So once you receive data from your SQL query, once you retrieve data from your table, so we need to have a placeholder in your PL SQL area where it can handle the data. So that's why I use cursor. The cursor is a placeholder for your data which you retrieve from your table. So there are different types of cursor. We have implicit, explicit, and a reference cursor. So most of the times we'll be using implicit and explicit. Reference cursor we use very rarely. So we'll see exactly what is the difference and in which scenario we use this in later sessions, not now. Okay. This is the cursor again, the same stuff. Okay. Yeah, coming to the if statement. So this is syntax of your if statements. So whenever you write any conditions, you can make use of, whenever you want to make sure, whenever you want to verify some conditions, you can make use of this kind of if statements here. Always your if statement should have this syntax. If followed by condition and then a keyword and again a set of statements. Always your if block should end with end if. This is for else if, LSIF. If you consider another programming language, maybe you'll be having else after that space and if. But here in the PL SQL we have else if, LSIF. Okay. Let me show you the program for this one. So here what we're doing here is we declared one variable salary in the declared section, and the value is something around 20,000. And in the if block, in the begin block, I'm having three conditions here. One is if the salary is greater than 25,000, print the output as best. If it is greater than 15,000, print as better, and else part print as good. So what is the value of 20,000? What is the value of salary? It is 20,000, right? So which statement it should print? So this condition is not satisfied because it is not greater than 25,000. The statement which it is getting satisfied is else if. So this statement will print now. Let's see. Right? We got the output as better. So this is not mandatory. This is not mandatory to have else condition. We can skip this else condition if not needed also. Okay. Now it's printing. Okay. So in other worst case scenario, if it doesn't satisfy any of the condition, so what it will do? So that we can see it now. So I displayed the data as like what I will display yeah, I'll display as I will assign it as 0. So which statement it should print? It should not print any data, right? Because it's not satisfying with these two conditions. So that's why I did not print any data here. So now it's printed the base. So you can have multiple conditions like this. So the else condition is the default conditions. If it doesn't satisfy with any of your if and else if conditions, then it will print the else part. So that's about your if conditions. Okay. So another variation of your if condition is case expression. The functionality of case expression is almost similar to the same, almost similar to your if condition, but a little bit variance in this, like the keywords and other stuff. So here what we are doing is, again, I have one more, I have variable called salary and a grade. So here, this is the key, this is how we write the case expression. This seems a quite complex one, but it's very easy one here. So we have when part and else part here. Rather than the if and else if, we have when and else part here. So the case will take an expression or a column value. So I'm passing a salary here, and this salary is compared with all the when conditions here. So what is the value of your salary now? 25,000. So the expected result is A. So it should return, this particular statement will return A, and that is assigned to grade, and we are printing the grade now. Okay. So same way, else is the default part. If this particular expression does not satisfy with any of your where condition, then it will print the else part. Grade is A. Okay. And we can make use of this statement in your select statement also. The select statement also we can write. We can use of case.
Sridhar,
Coming to the iterative control. Yeah.
Sridhar, I didn't get that case part. Why are we using why are we giving case that grade the colon equal to case? What is that syntax?
Yeah. See here, this is assignment operator. Grade is colon is equal to assignment operator. So this case statement will return some data to the left hand side data. Because if you consider our if loop does not return any data, it's only just prints data on the out console. It nothing but it performs some operation in the statement. But if you consider case returns data, and that should be assigned to some variable. So that's why we are assigning that particular value to the grade here. So if we consider the syntax here, let me show the syntax better. I don't have, I guess. Okay, I don't have. Yeah. So here case is a keyword, and it's take one expression or a column or a variable, and this value is compared with all when conditions here. In the case I have how many conditions? I have two conditions, and after that I have an else condition and this end of your case. You can consider this as some case block, I can say. This salary is compared with these three conditions here. So whichever is getting satisfied, that particular value is written. What are the value which you written after the then statement, that will print. That will be assigned to grade here. If I assign it as 15,000, so now we should print B here. Grade B, like this. Clear?
So in real case scenarios where we use these?
Yep, we'll use most of the times. Like, nothing but if you want to assign some value based on specific, like if region is this one, assign some percentages. If your customer is A grade customer, assigns in value. So we'll use most of the time these cases.
So we use this in place of if. Like just replacing if, we use case.
Yep, I cannot say like replacement of if. It's a different story actually, because if you consider if statements will never data, right? But case returns the data here. So we'll be using case statements in the select statement most of the times. You can make use of this case in the select statements, but you cannot use the if conditions in your select statements, right? So we'll be using this case statements in the select clauses. I can write a statement like this, like so what I will do is
Sridhar?
select. Yeah.
If case, can't we just declare something and then save the value in that? Like as we're doing in case?
I not get you.
Like instead of case, we can still save the value in some different variable, right? And then use that variable as the output.
No, here case is a keyword, right? So case is case is a block. Okay, this block will perform the operation for us. We just need to give some input and it will perform the logic and it will return the specific data. So that value I'm assigning to grade here.
Okay.
Are you getting what I'm trying to say?
I'm not. The thing is, I'm not getting the syntax.
Syntax is simple. The case is like the starting keyword of your this one is case. The syntax is like this keyword, your Oracle keyword followed by your expression. You can have a variable. I'm taking this as my case condition. So for the case, what it needs is you need to pass some data here, and this data it compares with all the when conditions here. This salary is compared with all the when conditions. What are the when conditions you have here? The salary is compared with 25,000 and then 15,000 and then comes the else part. So
Oh.
if this salary is equivalent to this one, then it will return A here.
Yeah,
This
that
case
part
will
I
return
got
A.
actually. What I'm saying,
Uh-huh.
my question is, instead of that case, can we use anything else?
Well, you see, there are different ways. We can use decode and we can use other ways also. This is one of the syntax of that. We are showing a different variants of your control statements. So we have a number of things, and based on our usage and requirement, we can go with the different stuff.
Okay, okay. The only reason I'm asking is like I came across this kind of blog, but there
Hmm.
was no case in that, so that's the reason I was asking.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. Without using case also, I can do that. That's we can we can have a decode statement, or we can have other statements also.
Okay, okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
problem.
So coming to the iterative control, like we are having three loop statements. One is called basic loop, other is a for loop and a while loop. So the functionality of in each and every loop is nothing but looping your statements, but the syntax and and a little bit like the syntax is quite different for each and different stuff. And there are some scenarios which like which we cannot use basic loop, and there are some scenarios which where you cannot use your for loop. Those kind of things will occur. So based on the usage, we'll going with a different loop. So we are not sure, like most of the times if you're it depends on the business logic which you write. Sometimes if you want to have a single statement to be executed irrespective of your conditions, will go with a basic loop, but like entry condition, exit conditions will be there, right? So we'll see that. So coming to the basic loop, this loop is a keyword followed by a set of your statements, and you'll be having exit condition and followed by end loop. So if you consider this particular syntax here, there is no entry condition. So you can have the statements printed, and after that, at the end of your loop, you'll check the condition, whether the condition is satisfied or not, and then again you will iterate the loop. So this basic loop says that like you can print the statement at least once, irrespective of the condition. This there we doesn't have an entry condition here. We have only exit condition. Nothing but I can enter the loop and I can perform the logic, and then I can check the condition. Okay, this is a basic loop here. We doesn't have an entry condition. So if you consider the syntax here, yeah. So what I've done here is like I have declared one variable counter, and I'm printing the data here. After that, I'm incrementing that. After that, I'm checking the counter, whether this counter is greater than or equal to 5. If it is greater than or equal to 5, then perform the exit. Else, again, iterate the loop. Here. So now we got the data like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is printed, and after that, it got exit. It got out of the loop. So how it is done is like initial value of the counter is 1, it incremented by 2, it is incremented by 1, right? It becomes 2 now, and this becomes false. This 2 is printed, it's 3 now. Then it's compared here, it's not true again, it will perform like that and you will get the output. So let's consider that. Let me consider that initially I define it as 15, okay, but still I can enter simple loop, right? 15 is printed, right? Because 15 is printed because initial while entering the loop I doesn't have any condition. If I have that condition, I could not have entered here, right? So if I make this statement as a above before here, then this particular statement won't be printed, isn't it? Out of the loop. So because while entering the loop, I have a condition in the entry itself, then I could not enter the loop here. So based on the usage, we can have these kind of things. Whether we can have the exit condition at the end of your loop or in the starting statement of the loop. So we can have our own thing based on the logic which we require. That's all about your simple loop. Clear on the simple loop?
Yeah.
Okay. So coming to the while loop, so we'll have a condition in the starting point, while condition. After that, you'll have a loop keyword, followed by your statements. See, what I'm doing here is while entering the loop itself, I'm checking the condition. If v underscore counter is less than 6, then only print the data. So after that, I'm incrementing the data, then printing the data here. That's almost the functionality is same here. The same functionality is shown in different loops. So you will just got the output as expected. If counter is greater than 6, then enter the loop, then perform the logic and print the statements. Okay. Let me make this statement as something 10 here, so it won't enter the loop now, right? It cannot enter the loop because the counter value is not less than 6. Okay. This is your while loop stuff. So while the before loop itself, you should mention the condition on what basis of condition you want to get out of the loop. So until and unless if the condition is satisfied, it will always perform the iteration. Okay. Clear on this part?
Yes.
Yeah. So coming to the for loop, in the for loop we'll be having the counter variable, and after that we have lower bound and upper bound, and then we'll have a loop statement and end loop statement. So let me show you the syntax. Yes, here. It's very simple and very concise loop. It's very easy to understand actually. So what we are doing here is I declared this. I did not declare any variable here, but in the for loop, whenever you're using any counter variable, that is implicitly declared. So we did not declare it explicitly. There is no necessity to declare it explicitly. Okay. And what I am mentioning here for counter in 1.5. So this is the syntax of that. So after in clause, we need to mention the upper bound and lower bound, nothing but lower bound and upper bound. Okay, your v underscore counter is check it whether the value is in between 1 and 5. Again, this statement will be printed 5, and even if you consider the increment also, it is incremented automatically. We are not writing any statement to increment it, right? So always it is by default it is incremented by 1. Okay. If I write like this here for 1 in 15, so automatically it will print from 10 to 15. So what are the observations here is in the for loop, the variable is declared implicitly and it is incremented explicitly. These are the two things. So it will come out of the loop when it makes the upper bound stuff. So whenever v underscore count becomes greater than 15, then it will come out of the loop. Until and unless it satisfies the lower bound and upper bound, it will iterate the loop.
And one quick question, Sudhir.
So this is all about the loop. Yeah, sure.
These loops can be used only with the numbers, right? We cannot use it for the varchars.
Yes, you're right. Yes, right. Yeah, so we can make use of your nested loops also. I can write one more loop inside the other loop, like I'll show you that now. So what I will do is I'll take one more thing here. V underscore counter underscore nested and end loop. Okay, so nested number nested. So I'll print this one from 1 to 5, and again this also from 1 to 5. So how many lines should be printed? Any guesses? How many lines of statement will be printed?
5.
Total 5? See, okay, I'll ask
Lines
you
will
a
be
question
10, but the loops will be 5.
See, this statement is printed how many times?
5 times.
Selected statement. 5 times. Okay, good. So how about this statement? This statement is printed how many times?
That should be 5 times 2.
Total number of times I'm asking.
10.
Total number of times.
10.
No. Any other
This one should
guesses?
be 5 and that should be 5.
Mm, okay.
Because
Because for each upper loop, I will have 5 times of inner loop, right?
yeah.
So how many times this inner loop is printed? Nothing but the selected inner statement. This is printed how many times?
Oh, okay, okay. This
So it will be
is
printed
5.
25 times,
Yeah, 25 times.
right? 5 into 5. So let's see that. See here. Number 1, nested number 1 to 5, right? Number 2,
Number 2 again 5.
nested number, yeah. So this way you'll make use of your nested loops. So if you consider your array clap scenario, for each header if you want to print the lines, so what we can do is we can write a cursor for header and we can write a cursor for line, and we can pass your header ID to the line ID. So that way you can iterate your header ID first, and then you will iterate all the lines in that header ID.
Yeah.
So header ID and line ID, header ID and line ID, you'll get the data like that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So we'll see those things later. I mean, yeah, once we enter the functions and those things, again we'll have few more things on that. So clear on your if conditions and your anonymous block and for loop statements. So today we discussed about anonymous block in detail, variable declarations, if condition, loops, of course case statements also.
Yes.
And of course we had discussed implicit cursor. Anyway, we'll discuss it again.
Function.
Clear? These are things which covered today. So the next section, it can be on, okay, we have composite or cursors. Okay, it could be on the cursors. I'll try it. Okay,
Okay.
fine, clear?
Yep. It was a good class.
Chalo then, yeah. So, okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks all. Yeah, bye.
Bye.